Hello and welcome to Boundless Love Book Bytes. My name is Javier Llerena and I am the co-author of Boundless Love, Healing Your Marriage Before It Begins. It's a very special book that my wife and I wrote. And also, thanks to that book, we started a ministry by the same name, Boundless Love Inc. And today, if you're brand new to watching these videos, what we're doing is we're giving you a summary of the chapters in our book. Today we're going to talk about chapter 10, which is forgiveness, and we're going to give you 3 key points and also leave you with some reflection points for you to discuss with yourself or discuss with your significant other. And this is a very important topic for me because throughout my life, I've been really hard on myself and not really forgiving for the sins that I made and the mistakes that I made. And also holding a lot of anger and resentment and disappointment from other individuals that I didn't fully forgive. So I carry on through that, my courtship with Christina and throughout my marriage, and obviously it did not serve me the way I wanted to. So it's a very special topic for me. Also, I'm a bit sad because we're getting close to the end of doing Boundless Love Book Bytes. And Christina and I decided to really use the last chapter, which is designing your marriage, to do a live event. So everybody's welcome to that event. And that event is going to be a very interactive event with other couples. And really designing how you want your marriage to be. So this is perfect for people that are about to get married, and this is perfect for people that have been married 5, 10, or even 20 years. Because I think that every year when you're married, you evolve and you have the ability to create something that you always dream of with your spouse. So stay tuned for the dates when we're going to announce that event, and it's going to be a free event. Anybody can join, and it's going to be very interactive. We're going to have some key speakers there, so I think it's worth checking it out, and we will announce the dates later this week. Great, so let's dive into forgiveness. So when we talk about forgiveness, Christina and I, we see a lot of couples, especially when we do pre-marriage retreats, where they want to be right or they want to be forgiven, right? And I think every day we have a choice to make with our spouses to be really humble and be really compassionate and really, first of all, forgive ourselves if we are coming across in a negative way, or forgive ourselves for anything we're about to say, right? Because I believe as a husband, I don't really are saying or doing the right things all the time, so I have to check myself and really use the concept of forgiveness is compassion. I think when we use forgiveness in our relationship, and it kind of tones down, right, any of the frustrations, any of the expectations that we might have of our spouses, and then from there we are becoming more humble. And at the same time, I think if we look back in the gospel, we see how Jesus Christ was always forgiving of everyone, right? How he was looking at us from a different lens and being more humble and being more compassionate, right? But also another key ingredients to forgiveness is also forgive yourself. I think when you forgive yourself and you forgive others, you let go of so much weight, and you kind of let go of things and kind of you move freely, right? And I think that's something that obviously encourage all the men to go through confession, because that's when we ask for forgiveness for the sins that we have committed, and that help us heal and help us become lighter and move forward. And at the same time, every time that I go through confession, I feel that I'm being forgiven, but at the same time, I can see God's grace and being more compassionate towards me. The second point that I want to discuss with you is that obviously when we become intimate with our spouse, there's that element of, right, we become vulnerable, we become more open to them. So at the same time, we have to become more humble in things that might happen, mistakes, choices, life, works in strange ways, especially now during the pandemic, that we all feel different every day, depending on the news or depending on what's happening in the weather, depending on what's happening with COVID-19. So we need to become very humble, especially in during these times where our spouses might react on what's happening or what's happening to them internally in different ways, and that might manifest, right? And I have seen a lot of couples that say, "Hey, if you do that one more time, I'm not gonna put up with it. I'm not gonna forget about it. I'm not gonna forgive you." And that's something that really limits that intimacy that we talk about, right? When couples get together and you start building that intimacy, that trust, right? And you start not forgiving the mistakes and the sins that we all make. What happens is that intimacy, that trust, that bonding start really becoming more separating, right? And you start really creating that anger feeling that is not going to serve you. The third point is that forgiveness, and I grew up with this where a lot of people say, "Oh, forget about it. Forget about it," right? I remember when my father passed away, a lot of people say, "Well, you know what? Just gotta move on. Forget about it," right? And what happens is, if we don't really forget ourselves and really allow God's grace, right, to really heal us to move forward, you're gonna hold on to that. And when you hold on to that, and you don't really forget yourself and forget others, right, for the harm they have done to you, for the bad experience that you went through that individual, what's happening is you're gonna use that as a reference, perhaps, with new relationships that you're going to have. You're going to have less trust in that individual. You're going to really go back in time and really have the memory of that bad relationship you had, that bad incident that you haven't forgot, right? So that's why it's so important, right, to pray, right, to really pray for God's grace to really heal you and really help you, right? Forget yourself for the sins that you make, and also forget others that harm you, right? And I know it's not an easy process. And I know that just by praying one time and asking for the healing, it might not happen. It might take weeks. It might take months, right? But once you are free, it really open up a different world. I think it open up your ability to trust again, your ability to see individuals as humble as you can and with a lot of compassion, because I think everybody's fighting their own battles. They're all fighting their pain inside, right? And when we start forgiving them for the things that they're doing that perhaps they're not aware of, right? We become more humble, more compassionate, and we're not taking that in, right? So it might take weeks, it might take days, but it's so important to really pray to God to really heal you and really forgive you for the sins that you made, and also forgive others that they hurt you. And perhaps you're not asking that individual directly to, forgive you. But I'm a believer that when you ask God, and that individual is not there, but you're asking God, "Hey, please me, help me forgive this individual that did a lot of harm." And obviously that person is not going to apologize and going to say, "Hey, please accept my apologies," or "Please forgive me for all the pain." But what we're doing is we're detaching ourselves from those memories. So in summary, right, just being willing to forgive is half the battle in a relationship. When it hurts, feelings come up, conflict and misunderstanding are inevitable. But going to God in prayer helps you navigate them and less fallout. We are called to forgive 70 times 70. And marriage is a spiritual opportunity to live this invitation from God again and again. Because God is always forgiving us, constantly, every minute. And maybe we don't notice, but He is forgiving us, right? Imagine if God wasn't a merciful God, and every mistake that you make, or every sin that you make, you get punished for it, right? We'll be punished all day long. So I want to leave you with this quote. We are called to be boundless in our forgiveness of one another as God has forgiven us again and again and again and again. And like I stated before, God is always forgiving you every minute of the day and looking you with compassion, and also looking you for you to become aware of the sins that you committed, and also the sins that other people have committed against you, and forgive those, right? So here's some reflection questions for you, right? Are you holding into anything that happened in the past that is blocking your love for your partner? And this is very important, and I think we touch on this on point number 2, if you don't forgive things that happened in the past, right, it might block you from further relationships, right? Because you're always looking at that as a reference, as a memory, right? Number 2 is, if you're holding a grudge, can you pray and let it go? I think it's always good to pray. I still have grudges. I admit it. But I pray every day that God release me and provide me with peace. And peace in others as well. Because I know we all fighting our own battles. And sometimes we do things unintentionally without really thinking in the other individual. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for being part of this Boundless Love Book Bytes. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching us. And I'm so excited to announce the dates of our workshop where we really dive into our last chapter of our book, which is designing the marriage that you always wanted to have. And I hope I see you there. I hope we connect in person. And I hope I can get to hear what you come up with, what designs you come up with, and inspire other couples as well. So thank you, and I will see you again in our workshops. Bye-bye.